You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Today's Seniors Living Well with your host, Laurie Webb.
Good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Today's Seniors Living Well. We just had a great conversation with Gwen Christensen, who runs the Estate Planning Law Center, which is right across the street here in downtown Jackson. And she was talking about that there are so many aspects to planning your estate, and it's not just, the will or the trust or whatever, and that she has had speakers from Daenerys come and talk with her and talk with her clients, and that's kind of where we're going with this series of Today's Seniors. We're trying to cover a lot of territory about, we call it making 2013 your lucky year, but being proactive about being lucky. So one of the things that you have to be proactive about in this life is knowing that at some point you're going to get to the end of it. And we've invited our friend Dan Riordan back from Hospice. Nice to see you, Dan. Thanks for coming again.
You bet. It's nice to be here.
You were here last year, our last series, and you talked a lot about all the wonderful things that Hospice does.
Right.
And we talked then about, people kind of have tunnel vision about that last part of their life.
Yeah.
And the importance of kind of getting comfortable so you can make good decisions. Maybe you can talk a little about the Hospice philosophy of living till
live until you die.
Live until you die. Live
fully,
your whole life. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Laurie. It's nice to be here. And make 2013 your lucky year. It's almost it seems incongruous with Hospice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I like your approach that in thinking about the future, we really can impact how that's going to be for us. Yeah. So it's interesting. One of the big blocks about hospice care is the notion that people feel like they're giving up. Yeah?
Right.
It's like
they don't want to, because
you make that
it's
call
like
and it's like, forget about
I'm
it.
done.
And what I'm seeing in the years that I've been there, and what I saw when I first got involved 8 years ago through volunteerism, is that oftentimes the person who makes the decision to invite hospice into their home, they can really focus on living fully for whatever length of time they have left.
Right.
And that's so oftentimes that's missed because it's an emergent situation. We get a call from the family and they're panicking, and so they're not able to take full advantage of all of what hospice might be able to bring to them. So I love this idea of kind of a proactive learning. So let's find out more about what would it mean. At what point in my life might I reach out to hospice for that kind of guidance and that kind of support?
Mm-hmm.
So I could talk about those kind of things. So, as we near our end of life with whatever, disease trajectory is working with us, there will come a time where you'll be working with your physician and this and that, and oftentimes physicians will say, well, from my perspective, there's nothing more we can do, right? I mean, those are kind of key words for us because that's where our work starts.
Right.
There's everything.
Not going to be a cure. There's not going to be...
Right. It's not about that anymore. It's not about curative treatment. It's about how do we support you now in these final months of your life so that you can be comfortable, so that you can take care of whatever's left in your life to take care of. We procrastinate, right?
Oh,
As people, especially in issues that are difficult. Conflict, family issues, right? Grudges, all these things that we don't want to think about. Well, a lot of this stuff comes up at the end of life. So what I love to be able to see is when the team comes in and can help someone get comfortable enough in their own home so they can breathe comfortably. They're not feeling the pain of whatever disease, is afflicting them. And they can contemplate, I have these many days left. What is it that's important to me? And so we get involved with reaching out to family members, if that's who they want to see. They articulate, what are their goals for their final months? Sometimes we get folks who say, my grandchild is going to be born in 3 months. Wouldn't it be fabulous if I could be there? My son or daughter is graduating in the fall. Can we do that? So we listen very carefully. We don't, oftentimes, we can't make magic happen.
Right.
But knowing what's important to them really does inform our team about what kind of intervention we can bring to help them achieve their goals.
Right.
So I guess a good message for today in meeting with y'all here is to try to help break down the barriers about the fear of calling hospice, and the notion that when I make that call to hospice, my life is over. Because I think of it differently. I think, yeah, a certain part of your life certainly is past. But this last part is like no other part has ever been. It's profound with opportunity for deep healing, deep connection, spiritual healing and growth and those kind of things. And our team supports that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's really the opportunity, I think.
You say you can't do magic, but I have heard families refer to what you guys do as miraculous.
Well, yeah.
Because you do bring that perspective of, okay, it's not that your life is over, it's that the end of your life is a beginning.
Right.
And you guys,
Right.
all that wonderful hospice team helps
Right.
with that.
And everybody does it, everybody dies differently. Everybody makes different decisions about how they want their end of life to be. And that's one of the challenges for our team, is to remain open to and respectful of what that is for each individual family and patient, because it is so different. I was with a fella years ago who was dying of a glioblastoma, brain tumor.
Yeah.
Cool old guy, used to be a biker, long-haired guy. And so this was actually my first patient. And I went out there with expectations. I thought, oh, well, we'll probably do this and we'll probably do that. And what this guy taught me was, I don't know anything, number one. He's driving the show. And what he wanted to do was just close down relationships. That's how it was going to be comfortable for him. Not open stuff up.
Yeah, but get closure with various
Just
things.
close it down one thing at a time, yeah. And so that was interesting to be able to support that and ask him, well, what does that mean today when I'd show up, We had a great time together.
So you started out as a volunteer with Hospice,
yeah.
and Hospice has a tremendous number of wonderful volunteer opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another good way of people learning about Hospice and getting comfortable with Hospice, because tell us about some of the volunteer things.
We met with about 100 of our volunteers just last week. It was National Volunteer
Volunteer
Week,
recognition.
right?
Yeah.
And this one you said this month is what? What is this?
This is Older Americans Month.
I was sitting out listening to that, and I thought, who comes up with
Who comes
this
up
stuff?
with these things?
But anyway, last week was Volunteer Week. And so it was an opportunity for us to thank some of the volunteers who work in our thrift stores and who work with patients, etc. But what I saw there was we give out pins for years of service. We gave out, I think it was 5 pins to individuals who've been at the Jackson thrift store for 20 years, Laurie.
Wow.
So these folks, when they moved into their retirement years, they looked around and they said, well, what are the opportunities to give back, and what do I like to do? They decided to come up here, and over the years, they've learned so much about hospice because people come into the store and they're scratching their heads saying, how do I get help and this and that? So that's another way to get involved and to break down those barriers, is to volunteer.
Sure.
Volunteer at the thrift stores. We have this, Laurie, we also have this Grief Buster program I think you're aware of.
Wonderful program.
Oh my gosh. Today we're serving over 40 children in Amador and Calaveras County. And this is with a lot of retired seniors who are coming to us and saying, I'd like to spend time with the youth and help them through their troubled time. This is another great way to prepare for our own ultimate death, isn't it? I mean, to just be working with others and to giving.
To get
that
conversation going and get comfortable with that conversation.
That's the word, Laurie, comfortable.
And in being part of Grief Busters, I know a couple folks have said it made it so much easier for me to talk to my kids about, the fact that I'm not going to always be here.
Exactly.
So,
It's, I think 3 weeks ago there was a suicide in Murphy's, and then of course last week this tragedy in Valley Springs, and our folks are just plugged in with the schools and everybody kind of grouping together to try to provide support. Seniors have a great place in that world because of their life experience and everything that they can bring. So, I would encourage listeners who are even wondering, well, how can I spend my time? What kind of things can I do? boy, reach out.
Yeah.
Give us a call.
Yeah.
You know, call me, call Ann Method.
And where would they call?
They would call us at the hospice office at 223-5500. And they could speak to me or to Tammy or to Ann about any volunteer opportunities. There's lots of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to, kind of integrate.
Different ways
It
to
doesn't
serve.
have to be the store. It doesn't have to be going out and helping a patient.
Right.
It can be,
The Grief
enrolling in
Buster
something
program.
with the Grief Buster.
Right. It can be helping us raise
Or
funds.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
there's fundraising that goes on,
there's a little
too.
fundraising that,
Yeah.
that we do. You've probably seen
Because
us around.
even though your services are mostly covered by
Yeah.
Medicare,
Right.
You are a 501c3,
Right.
and so you do have to get
Right.
community support.
We sure do.
And-
Every year, Laurie, as you probably know.
As I know, yes.
The Medicare reimbursement is going
Yeah.
downhill.
Yeah.
April 1st, we all suffered a pretty big loss in
Yeah.
that respect.
So the community fundraisers, if somebody wants to go help at one of the
Yeah.
events, they could sit
Yeah.
at the door or sell tickets. Or
Absolutely.
So.
Always.
Well, that's
Always.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And, we are so lucky in Amador and now Calaveras County to have such a high-quality hospice. I mean, I talk to my friends around the state, and they are just amazed at all the services that
Yeah.
our little rural hospice provides.
It's true.
So
It's true, Laurie.
we really appreciate you coming to talk.
Thanks.
And if somebody thinks that they need hospice services, but they're not sure, they can give you a call. They don't have to start the conversation with their doctor. They can call
Absolutely.
you first.
Anybody can call the office. One of our nurses can go out and sit and chat with the family about
Perfect.
what are the services, when might the time be right, is it right for me, all that kind
Great.
of thing. Yeah, anytime.
Great. It's
Anytime.
such a wonderful, friendly
Yeah.
service.
Our
So-
staff is beautiful.
Yeah,
They're just
they're
highly
really
skilled
terrific.
and compassionate, fabulous. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in
Oh, you
and
bet.
covering so much ground in such a short amount of
Yeah.
time.
Happy to do it.
We are always glad to have, the information. And don't forget that number, 223-5500, for more information. And stay tuned. We're going to come back and talk about some more information.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.